We will now reconvene to open session. We will have student Mia Oyama Estrada to lead us in the pledge of allegiance.
Please stand and put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you. What a wonderful job. Student Secretary, can you please take roll?
Ms. Salas,
Present.
Ms. Lizarraga,
Present.
Ms. Gay,
Present.
Ms. Petacor Castañeda,
Present.
Ms. Sarmiento is absent.
Item 5, presentations. Item 5A is presentation by John Otis, school students.
Good evening, Governing Board and Executive Cabinet. We are honored to present today our fourth grade students from Mrs. Reynoso's class and Mrs. Cortazar's class on our experience with Olivewood Garden. We've had this wonderful opportunity to have instructors from Olivewood Garden come and work with all our children, kinder through sixth grade. But the best opportunity has been actually going to Olivewood Garden and visiting and having some outdoor learning experiences. And today, or tonight, we have these wonderful fourth grade students that are going to share a little bit more about why their experience at Olivewood Garden has been so special. So with that, I present our students.
Welcome to John Otis fourth grade students presentation, Olivewood Garden Outdoor Learning. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to introduce the students who will be doing today's presentation. Carissa Lee, Osvaldo Rivera, Jose de Anda, and myself, Mia Oyama Estrada. We really enjoyed the Olivewood Garden experience. We had the opportunity to learn about science and healthy eating, to explore the garden and how it connects to healthy eating, math, science, and other subjects, to learn while we explored the garden and how to cook a healthy snack. At Oliver Gardens, we always follow four core responsibilities. Be kind, be gentle with the plant, be safe, use the knife correctly, be adventurous, try the food, and if you don't like it, don't make rude faces or noises. Be responsible, listen to the staff and raise your hand. Before we cooked our snack, we learned about my plate. We learned about dairy, fruit, vegetables, and grains. 50% of our plate should be fruits and vegetables. My personal favorite are potatoes and strawberries. Grains and protein make up the other 50. It's important to include small amounts of dairy. As a bonus, you can have a little bit of fat, but don't eat too much cookies and cake.
We had fun cooking tacos and they were delicious. We used the following ingredients: cauliflower, potatoes, bell peppers, cilantro, lime, avocado, cabbage, Swiss chard, and tomatoes. These ingredients were all grown in the garden. We chopped all the vegetables and mixed all the ingredients. The best part was the bonus ingredient, Valentina hot sauce deliciousness. We learned a lot about plants. For example, the importance of the three sisters. Corn grows tall and provides shade for other plants. Beans grow on the corn stalk like a vine. Squash grows down low and benefit from the corn shade. The three sisters work together so they can grow better and faster. Here are some pictures of the students in the garden learning about the three sisters.
This experience was very entertaining, adventurous, and fun. We explored around the garden to learn about fruits and vegetables and had hands-on learning experiences in the kitchen. Most of all, this field trip made us feel curious. Clarissa wanted to learn more about plants. Hungry, Mia wanted to go home and cook this recipe herself. At peace, Osvaldo loved exploring the garden. Excited, I loved tasting items from the garden and playing learning games. Thank you for this awesome experience. We hope we continue learning and exploring at Olivewood Gardens.
My turn. Thank you. It's going to be my time to be there because I'm currently a staff at Oliver Gardens. So it's a pleasure to be seeing all those kids. They might see me as a farmer, and now I'm an executive. So this is what we do. This is a pleasure to be there, especially at the end when they scream out, "Thank you, Oliver Gardens." That will really fulfill all the work that is behind all this planning for these kids to enjoy. And they made them a pledge to see, I'm going to be adventurous, I'm going to at least try, I'm not a bite. So they make them pledge, which is really fulfilling as well. So me knowing the fact that I started there as a volunteer, as my career also part of it. So I'm not part of the staff, I'm a farmer, I'm growing food for you, I'm preparing the crops for you so you can enjoy it. And it really fulfills me when I see that smiles and they scream. Our amazing staff is there to prepare them and plan ahead like weeks before you go in there and enjoy it. And even the nature is wise. we need to collaborate with, especially with the example of the three sisters. There's three parties always, and there's a community to be there to help you, so you can learn and be adventurous in the kitchen. Now you take that knowledge and take it to your home, which is a really, really important part of it. Thank you so much. Now we're gonna do certificates for your presentation. We're really proud of you, and I'm glad that you are adventurous in cooking. So hopefully you can get some tacos and hooray for the Valentina. So now, you got it? The certificate is for Osvaldo Rivera. And this is for Mia Oyama Estrada. And this is for Clarissa Lee. And Jose de Anda. Parents are welcome to come forward and take pictures. They are the stars, not us.
Hold your certificate. I mean, here. Look good.
Dr. Segura has to stage it all. Sorry.
We'll take one this way. Excellent. So proud of you.
And hooray for you. Thank you, boys and girls.
Next, item 5B is to recognize Israel Mora Reyes from John Otis School as a value-added district volunteer.
Thank you. I am honored to proudly present Mr. Israel Mora Reyes, National School District Volunteer of the Month. When I say that I have parent volunteers, I really mean that Mr. Mora is there daily, every morning, 7:30, to help me with my traffic. He's one of my parent patrols, and I can count on him. And Mrs. Mora as well, when she can get away. They're both out there, and I had to pick one, so I was like, oh, which one do I do, Mr. or Mrs. Mora? So I said, okay, I'm going to put Mr. Mora because he is there daily. And anytime I have my campus student supervisor out and she's not able to do the crosswalk, he always volunteers. And don't worry, Dr. Segura, I will do it. And he's out there making sure that our kids are safe and getting off their vehicles safely. And he does a great job. It's almost like he's a police officer out there. Like he's stopping traffic and making sure my parents are exiting right into the street safely. And everybody that drives on 18th Street in the morning, you know how busy that street is. So he's very brave. And I just want to say thank you, because that commitment and those hours and hours of volunteer time really makes a difference for our families, for our students, that they arrive to school safely every day. And I have company out there because I'm out there with him every morning. So he and I get to catch up and really support our kids. So I really, really thank you, Señor Mora. Le agradezco muchísimo por todo el apoyo que brinde a nuestra comunidad y a nuestros niños. Le agradezco muchísimo y que Dios lo bendiga y que sigue dándonos esa asistencia con las horas de apoyo. Y señora Mora, también es algo, un reconocimiento para usted también, porque usted también está allí con nosotros. So, thank you, Mr. Mora, and I have a little something. So this is for you to play with the boys. Because I couldn't bring flowers. I said, where do you get them, man? You know, you can't get them flowers. So, for your family.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Israel. Es un placer, perdónenme que no puedo hablar inglés, pero algunos de ustedes me entienden bien. Es un placer, es un orgullo estar ahí. De verdad, siento mucho orgullo, siento mucha satisfacción ayudar a la escuela. Y así va a seguir siendo, por lo menos hasta que Dios quiera, ¿verdad? Thank you very much. For coffee. Come on.
Put the two down, come on. We're actually going to do
Before you wait, John notice, staff would like to join in, students, anyone else would like to join in?
I don't know if it's por pasar, yo made it. Yes, come in front, come in front. Teresa, come in front, come on, Darren.
Make sure that they're
Nice.
Darren, right up in front. Here, you can be in front of us, right here. Turn around.
Next, item 5C is to recognize Maria Duarte, Language Arts Specialist from Central School as the National School District Employee of the Month for October 2022. And Ms. Carrillo will be presenting this.
Hola, buenas tardes. Good evening. I'm Erica Barcelo Carrillo. Mucho gusto. Thank you, Maria, for being here. I'm the very proud principal of Central Elementary. Thank you so much for this opportunity to recognize our amazing staff and volunteers, and you guys did an incredible job. I wanted to nominate Maria. It was almost a no-brainer immediately upon learning of this opportunity. Maria has been with National School District for 27 years. Myself, just a few months, but I can say that since I first met Maria, she has been a guiding light, advocating for students, all students, not just the ones that she gets to connect with daily, but also advocating for all students, ensuring that decisions and practices benefit our school community. She advocates for staff as well. And Maria doesn't hesitate to advocate and to respectfully come in and meet with me to push back and say, hey, could we do this? This is a way to do things better. And I love that because her moral compass points to what's best for our school community. Maria, as I mentioned, has been with the school, National School District for 27 years. She started as a classroom teacher in grades kinder through third, and she's transitioned in 2011 as a language arts specialist, where she began working at Central School. So she's now been with us for 12 years. She works tirelessly, enthusiastically, and with a fantastic attitude, focusing every single day on what she can do, what we can do to ensure that every student is progressing and learning and reaching their full potential. Even with changes in staff and challenges and the ever-changing needs of our students in our community, Ms. Duarte has managed to continue to meet with our RTI Tier 3 students, our newcomers, work with Achieve, and she supports with assessments to determine students' present levels of academic performance. This critical data allows the team to provide the best and most effective instructional support. When I say Maria is a team player, those words are not adequate to describe not just her knowledge, but the passion with which she does it and the amazing attitude. To know Maria is to love Maria. To work alongside Maria is to want to be better at your craft. In the short time I've known you, I can honestly say if I'm in doubt of anything, I will connect with Maria because I know she's going to ask, is that best for kids? All of them. And so I look forward to many, many more years of working alongside you. Ms. Duarte, I want to thank you from the entire Central community. And this is just a little something. Thank you again for allowing me the platform to acknowledge and recognize Ms. Duarte for all that she does. Have a great evening.
Ms. Duarte, on behalf of the governing board, I must say that you are very loved, and we thank you for your commitment to and love that you have for your students and for this district. Thank you so very much. And I'd like to present you with this certificate as a memory of this day, and also with this nice pen as a memento.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for this recognition. First of all, I'd like to thank my family, especially my son who's here. We've got a midterm tomorrow, so if you see us sneak out, it's because he's got to study, my husband. And all of you, especially Erica, for supporting me, for supporting us, and our wonderful support staff. And just like Erica said, I'm here for these little guys. And when I saw that Otis was up, I was like, I was a classroom teacher there for 15 years, was one family, and now I have another beautiful family, my Central family, hardworking teachers that we all are. And hopefully 27 will lead to 30, 35, who knows? Maybe I'll start coloring my hair, that way you don't know the difference. But thank you all very much. This is an honor. It's really an honor. Thank you.
I welcome you to the front to please for some photo opportunities and your future family, as well as any staff from Central. Next item is 5C, introduce and welcome new employees. Dr. Kivitz.
And I get the pleasure of continuing on with celebrations. I'm going to be introducing our new employees, and if I call your name, you would be coming on up for a photo. Griselda Altamirano, Instructional Assistant at Iowa Jefferson School. Ms. Altamirano worked as a teacher for Colegio Cumbres de Villas Floresta and as a department lead for GTM Wholesale. She holds a BA in Pedagogy from Centro de Bachillerato Tecnológico Industrial de Servicios. Welcome, Griselda. Our next employee is Loretta Callas from CNS Assistant at Palmer Way. Ms. Callas has worked as a campus student supervisor for National School District since 2019. She holds a certificate in elementary education from St. Joseph College from Cavite City, Philippines. Our next employee is Noemi Chavez, Instructional Assistant at Special Education Olivewood School. Ms. Chavez has worked as an after-school teacher for KIPP Social Public Schools and as district manager for August Clerical Substitute and an instructional assistant for the National School District since 2015. She holds an AA in Business Management from Southwestern College. Welcome, Noemi. Our next new employee is Rosalba Esparza Delgadillo, Campus Student Supervisor at Kimball School. Ms. Esparza Delgadillo has worked as a substitute campus student supervisor and as a substitute transportation student attendant for the National School District since 2018. Welcome, Rosalba. Our next employee is Brenda Garay, classroom teacher, TKK at Kimball School. Ms. Garay worked as a first grade teacher for St. Michael Academy in San Diego and as a National School District impact teacher. She holds a bilingual teaching credential, a BA in English from San Diego State University. Welcome, Brenda. Paola Luna, Child Nutrition Services Assistant from Lincoln Acres School. Ms. Luna has several years working of experience in customer service and as project manager for Gráfico Moon Designer Company. Welcome, Paola. And Jose Romo, custodian, night at Rancho de la Nación. Mr. Romo has worked as a substitute custodian for the National School District since 2018. He also has years of experience working as a groundskeeper for Atlas Tree Service. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you for being here. I think this is the first time in my almost 8 years that we've had everybody introduce and welcome at a board meeting. So thank you and welcome again. Before we move on, wanted to let everybody know we're going to move into the business portion of our agenda. Children, I know there's a lot of reading that needs to go on and chores that need to be done. So parents are more than welcome to take your children and anybody who wants to leave. We're not offended. We just want to give you this opportunity because we are going to move on to our business portion of the agenda. And thank you for being here tonight. Wonderful job. Thank you. So anybody wishing to take a seat inside, we have some open seating, and you're more than welcome to join us.
Everyone can come sit.
Okay, moving on to item 6, public communications. Public communications provides the public with an opportunity to address the board regarding an item on the agenda or other topic. Anybody wishing to address the board shall submit a request for oral communications card. Cards are available near the entrance to the boardroom and are to be submitted to the recording secretary. A member of the public who wishes to address the board on any such matters is limited to 3 minutes for one matter and up to 5 minutes for all matters. There shall be a limit of 20 minutes for any matters unless such time limit is waived by the majority vote of the board. Members of the public may not yield any time to other speakers. No board action can be taken. So we have 2 public comment speakers today, and the other ones are related to an item. So they'll be held off for item 10A. So, Christina Benson, you'll have 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, good evening. I'm back. I'm not talking about the same thing. So I'm now going to put my teacher hat back on. Speaking as a 5-6 combo teacher at Central. Being a teacher is like riding a bike, except the bike is on fire. It has no seat. The tires are flat, and you're on fire. Most of us in the education world have heard this analogy once or twice in our careers, and when we do, we have 1 or more reactions to it. 1, we laugh because it's funny. 2, we shrug our shoulders because it's part of being an educator. Or 3, we cry because we know it's true. At Central, we currently have 3 combo classes in the upper grades, 3-4, 4-5, and 5-6. And in combos, that's the stress that comes with teaching 2 grade levels is high. But after a pandemic, at certain times, it's just unmanageable. No push-in teacher or aide, little to no pull out of our neediest students, no extra time to plan, sometimes the incorrect resources for the new grade level that was assigned to us, or the far-reaching across grade level gaps of student readers and mathematicians. This year alone in my classroom, during language arts and writing, I am instructing 2nd grade readers all the way to 7th grade. 5 reading groups to meet with me in 1 hour, and oftentimes it's impossible. During math time, instruction gets even more interesting. Instead of 2 grade levels to teach, I have 3, with no aid, 33 students. And the teachers who also have a 5-6 combo, one of which is in the room right now, she teaches both English and Spanish, also have a 5-6 combo and are not even at my school, but when we do have to collaborate, we choose to go onto Google Meets and meet when we can. This year, as well as the past 2 years, have been very difficult. But there's something different. Canadian teacher Sylvia Duckworth drew a sketch of her description of success. She illustrates it how it seems like it's like an iceberg.
Please
Her-
wrap up.
I'm sorry?
Please wrap up.
Okay. Her imagery explains how at the surface you see success, awards, or praise for the things you've accomplished, but below the surface you don't see the failures, the persistence, the mistakes. I could go on and discuss all the things, but I just want to tell you, we are on fire. I'm on fire. The district is on fire. Will you put the fire out? Thanks.
Kirsten Maguena, and next is Marlene.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Brady and the cabinet. I just want to start off by saying that I know, like everyone else here, I love National City, right, guys? So that's why we're here. That's why we choose to be in this district. I've been working in this district for 29 years. I started out as an impact teacher. I've taught kindergarten, first grade, second grade, fifth grade, and now finally sixth grade, which is very difficult. We're teaching, 7 grade levels in one classroom. I want to talk about morale, and teacher morale is at an all-time low since I've been in this district. We are not feeling valued, and we're very overworked. We're insulted by the 0% initial COLA that the district offered us, and it seems to happen often. We're offered 0% initially on most negotiations. In addition, our job description and our requirements are changed weekly, if not daily, requiring more documentation and data collection. Not only do we have a larger workload, but after the enrichment program has been dismantled, we're trying to pick up the pieces, and especially after a pandemic, trying to pick up the pieces and make it a whole education for our students. People that are happier and productive when they're appreciated. Offering us the bare minimum of cost of living raise shows us what little respect you have for the teachers of National City. Dr. Brady created the motto for this year of value added. Where has the district added value to their teachers and students? It's being taken away, and I, for one, feel devalued. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. And I'm here to discuss what the teachers are bringing up. Here as a parent, my daughter is in special education. I have seen the changes. My daughter doesn't want to go to school. And before she did. So hearing what the teachers have to say, now I see why. She was passionate about reading. We're losing that because they're giving more to the teachers, not providing the value that they deserve and that they have, because they're teaching our kids that are supposed to be the future. So how are you guys as the board members helping them, meeting their needs so our kids can have the proper education and the needs that they require? So I'm very concerned about that, as I have a kid that was very passionate about school and I'm losing that. And I understand now why. So thank you.
Thank you. Item 7, agenda. Item 7A is to accept the agenda. May I have a motion?
I'll move to accept.
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? None, please vote.
And it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 8 is to approve consent agenda routine items of business. Items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon in one action by the board. It is understood that the superintendent has recommended approval of these items. There will be no discussion prior to the time the board votes on the motion unless members of the board, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. All items approved by the board will be deemed as considered in full and adopted as recommended. Can I get a motion?
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have just one question for clarification for everyone.
we do have a lot of internal movement. Can you just tell us next steps? Because as anytime there's internal movement, people move up, then we're filling in those spots. I'm just quickly wondering how quickly you're moving as this thing moves forward.
Can you specifically say, is it the employment piece or the additional?
For instance, we have a number of teachers moving to district resource teachers, and so I'm just, for the benefit of everyone, can you just tell us as that move happens, because that means we're filling here, but we're having empty spots, so yeah, so that we're all aware of that.
It definitely creates a domino effect for sure.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do have some staff that are moving into different positions. Specifically, if you're talking about certificated, we did hire district resource teachers. And so as a result, we posted positions to backfill those positions. And so it does create a domino effect, right? So we're continuing to backfill the positions that are open and being taken by current teachers or teachers that have applied from EdJoin.
And just to add to that, we will be putting together a transition plan. So it won't be one day the teacher that's moving to the new position leaves and the new teacher shows up. There'll be some overlap in the classrooms to make sure that there's that warm handoff so that the new teacher gets to know the students and sets the new teacher up for success. So we'll be working, educational services will be working on that plan with human resources as well for the teachers.
Thank you. Any additional questions or discussion? If none, please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 9, general functions. Item 9A is to approve the minutes. Okay. Actually, I need to recuse myself on this item. If I can have Ms. Gates take over, as I was, actually, I don't have to, I would just abstain. I'll go ahead and do it. I just abstain on this item, because I was not present at this board meeting. 9A is to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on September 14, 2022. Can I get a motion?
I make the motion to approve. I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Again, I'm abstaining because I was not here. Let's see.
Item passes 3 yes, 1 abstain.
Now I will be recusing myself. So, it has to be a conflict of interest. Yes. We'll wait till she gets outside. Okay. Item 9B is to adopt resolution number 22-23.17 regarding the absence of board member Ms. Maria Betancourt Castañeda due to illness. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt resolution 22-23.17.
And a second?
I second the motion.
And do we have any discussion? Please vote.
Item passes 3 yes, 1 recused.
Thank you. Item 10, educational services. Item 10A, presentations of enrichment and expanded learning opportunity vision for the school district. We have 2 speakers on this item. We have Sarah Collins will be first, and then Maria Rodeshko will be second.
Good evening. In my wildest dreams, I might be out of line here, I don't know. But anyways, in my wildest dreams, I never thought I would be standing before this board again out of retirement. However, when I heard that the board had decided to dissolve the enrichment program, as a lifelong resident, taxpayer, voter, stakeholder, and grandparent of a student in the district, I cannot sit back in good conscience and say, retired, not my problem. I speak from classroom experience when I say that students love the enrichment program. They love the energy, the expression, innovation, and creativity that this program allows them to explore. As a former teacher, I know from experience and observation that attendance was higher and discipline problems were lower on enrichment days. However, this whole evening is not only about enrichment program. It is also most clearly a red flag referendum on the people we have elected and entrusted our children's educational needs for. As a community, we have empowered this board to enhance our children's education and find ways to keep valuable programs and educators. So I have to question, what is the board's end goal in their decision to do away with this priceless program? How does removing the enrichment program from our children's education help them become successful learners? The simple truth of the matter is that we should not even be here tonight talking about the enrichment program. The very people that we have elected and empowered to increase, not diminish, the learning experiences of our children have simply failed us. When it gets to the point where we are finding ourselves looking over our shoulders in order to ensure and protect the well-being of our children's educational needs, then something is very broken and needs to be changed. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President, Ms. Betancourt Castañeda, and members of the board. My name is Marie Rodolfo, and I will be speaking on enrichment and inclusive classrooms. First, a robust arts program provides better long-term academic, occupational, and social outcomes for socioeconomically disadvantaged youth. This is from a study called The Arts and Achievement in At-Risk Youth by the NEA. Basically, among the key findings are better academic outcomes, higher career goals, and more civically engaged students. According to Dr. Kraft's LCAT report, 87% of our student demographics are socioeconomically disadvantaged. It behooves you, the governing board, to be mindful of that 87%. Per California Ed Code Section 60605.13, the Visual and Performing Arts, or VAPA standards for California public schools pre-K through grade 12. One of the guidelines states that it shall follow the principles of universal design for learning with inclusion for students with disabilities. So why not create an inclusive enrichment program? Gen Ed and SPED students from the same age group will be in the same space with the enrichment teacher where the principles of universal design for learning are implemented. That is something arts, all students regardless of ability can do together. There's no academic pressure to perform. Both SPED kids and Gen Ed kids can learn and have fun together. If behaviors of the special ed students are a concern, then hire BCBAs or RBTs, board certified behavior analysts or registered behavior technicians. Students with special needs have the right through IDEA to be educated with non-disabled peers. If behaviors are a concern, it is your responsibility to provide a solution instead of segregating them. Aside from Common Core and NGSS, there is also NCAS, or the National Core Arts Standards. Here at NSD, why is enrichment an afterthought? Why are reading, math, and science must-haves, and enrichment is nice to have? Why is enrichment not part of the class schedule from the first day of school to the last day of school? I will forward to you an e-newsletter from the San Diego County Office of Education dated October 10, 2022. The title of their featured content is Building Classrooms with Universal Design for Learning. Ultimately, the goal of UDL is to support learners to become expert learners who are, each in their own way, purposeful and motivated, resourceful and knowledgeable, and strategic and goal-driven. UDL aims to change the design of the environment rather than to change the learner. There is nothing in that article that mentions special education. Even SDCOE supports and believes in UDL. I will conclude by leaving you with two things to discuss amongst yourselves. Poway Unified has true inclusive classrooms in the elementary school level, meaning they no longer have mild mod SDCs. San Diego Unified has a VAPA department. To the governing board, I pose this question. What do your students have here at NSD? Specifically, what are you going to do for the 87%? What are you going to do for your students with disabilities who are stuck in the ice age? There is also now a statewide IEP work group which seeks to increase the role of gen ed teachers in the IEP process and to increase the delivery of special education supports and services to the gen ed classrooms. To the governing board, I pose my second question. Are your gen ed teachers and gen ed classrooms prepared for this? I emailed my previous commentary regarding inclusion to Dr. Kraft and Dr. Brady. I will also email this to you with references attached. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kraft?
Good evening, governing board members, executive cabinet. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the National School District's vision of expanded enrichment with the focus of future focus for students and families. So I wanted to begin to be talking about academic core and enrichment, the what and the purpose. State of California provides us public schools the outline of what needs to be taught according to your authorized credential. And for our case, most of our credentials are multiple subject credentials. And these are the core areas to the left. In addition, enrichment is conceived to be an auxiliary instructional piece, usually oriented to the core. It is usually a program designed to enhance and supplement the core. So with that in mind, we really started thinking about the instructional program and re-envisioning it. More opportunities for different students, different interests, greater breadth, and future San Diego workforce pathways. And the reason we wanted to do that is our vision promises our students to be globally competitive. So one of the ways that we looked at Future Ready was really looking at where our kids go after they leave us. We are a union school district, and so our students leave us at sixth grade. But beyond that, there are secondary opportunities in which there's a lot of intentional focus in preparing students for the future workforce, for career and college readiness. In addition to that, when they get into secondary, there's also a move for placements, partnerships, externships in our local industry so that our students who live in San Diego, we know how expensive it is, have the opportunity to continue to stay, to be at home, and to get work. So we began by looking at what our secondary partners are providing. And one of the key focus, and a very robust program, I must say, at the Sweetwater Union School District is their career technical education pathway. In career technical education, the focus is to help develop the skills and experiences that students may need in order to, when they leave secondary, to either enter the college pathway or to enter the workforce. And so I have this video that comes from the Sweetwater Career Technical webpage, and at the bottom I will also provide the resources for that. And so I want to take this opportunity to play this video to give an overall understanding of what CTE, you mentioned, really does provide our students. How do I do the video? Just do this? Okay, I think I got it.
Everyone wants kids to be ready to take on the real world, right? So what's the secret? Say hello to CTE. CTE is Career Technical Education. Maybe you've never heard of it, but CTE gives learners an academic foundation along with technical skills and hands-on experience in a whole bunch of different areas to help them get ready for the real world. Think of CTE as a high school experience, but with even more value because it fills a big gap for a lot of students. In fact, CTE learners and their parents are 3 times as likely to say they're very satisfied with the ability to learn real-world skills as part of their education as compared to non-CTE learners and their parents. And since over 75% of CTE learners enroll in post-secondary education after high school, CTE is definitely creating a path to college and career success. And get this, they have a graduation rate over 10% higher than non-CTE students. Did you know 89% of parents think students should receive more education about career choices while in high school? That's where CTE comes in. Think about it. Is it better to experiment with career choices when you're paying money to do so in college? Or should it happen in high school so students know a lot earlier whether a career option is the right fit? The answer is fairly obvious, don't you think? Now let's talk about why CTE is good for business and industry. It's pretty simple. Companies want skilled employees, and they're having a hard time finding them, which can cost the company money in lost productivity. Enter CTE. 6 of the 10 hardest to fill positions are in technical fields or require a CTE background. In fact, about half of all CTE learners are enrolled in programs in leading fields such as healthcare, STEM, and information technology, matching employer needs with student passions. CTE programs directly connect learners in high school and post-secondary with employers through internships, apprenticeships, and other meaningful on-the-job experiences. When it comes to CTE, more than twice as many CTE parents report being satisfied with internship opportunities. That means a lot of doors are being opened for kids. So here's the bottom line. Parents want their kids to find a career they can be passionate about. Kids want the same thing. And when you think about the real world, what could be better than having learners enter a field they know is right for them with a ton of hands-on experience? It's all possible thanks to CTE. CTE, learning that works for America. To learn more, visit CareerTech.
So as you can see, CTE is one of the pathways that the secondary schools have invested quite a bit of money in and a lot of time, because they know that in order to prepare for college and career readiness, you have to start young. You have to start with opportunities that are tangible, and you need to start in ways that you can see yourself in those careers, being part of that group. So I focused on Sweetwater since that is our feeder district, with particular the high school that most of our students attend, which is Sweetwater Union High School. Their CTE pathway provides a multi-year sequence of core academic knowledge and technical and occupational knowledge. They prepare students for the academic achievement that we need, but they also give them the opportunity to explore careers, to explore things that they want to do and spend their day doing, and also leadership opportunities. And there is a lot of opportunity for our students when they hit high school to be able to do that. But then they found this. They found that high school might be a little too late. And so what I'm showing you here is the career pathway that is posted right now for Sweetwater Union High School District, but they have reached back. They have reached to their middle school because they know that in order to get kids the earliest intervention, the earliest opportunity students get to develop their passion, their knowledge, their experiences, the better it is and the more likely they will participate. So this chart that you're looking at is actually a reflection of what's currently in practice, and there is CTE pathways which are set by the state, correlated, they go through the rigor and accreditation, but then they do a mini pathway in middle school. And these become mini prongs in which these major sectors on the top are giving the kids the opportunity to feed into. In other districts, and what we are hoping to do as part of our vision, they begin that mini prong even in elementary. They start to give students enrichment opportunities that are breadth. Because in every classroom, you do have the artist, you have the musician, you have the dancer, you have the engineer, you have the future doctor, you have a long-term care associate. You have multiple interests in multiple ways. And so to be able to provide more breadth, more to our kids, we can fulfill the vision of making them competitively global in the world of the future. So if you're interested, there is a link at the bottom of this presentation that gives you the whole career pathways that Sweetwater Union High School District gives, and in different high schools they have major focuses. But I do want to draw your attention to the top row, which is the health and sciences, engineering, and architects. These CTE pathways didn't just come out of nowhere. There was research and understanding of what America's future workforce is going to need. In particular, we want to look and explore about our own San Diego workforce, where our kids live, where we want them to be able to work and give back to their community. So we thought, think globally, because we do live in a global market, but work locally. We have San Diego priority sectors that the industry is telling us they are struggling to complete and to fill. And one of the major areas, issues is they find that they have limited access by underrepresented demographics getting into the workforce. They note the growing disparity of our hourglass economy in San Diego. And an hourglass economy means that you have a lot of wage earners on the top and a lot of low wage earners on the bottom, but nothing in between. CTE, early access to careers, are a pathway to fill that middle ground and to give our families, our students in their future choice, the opportunities to work at home, act locally, work locally, and make the impact globally. So what are the future opportunities waiting for our students in San Diego? They've identified 5 key areas. Advanced manufacturing, which Sweetwater has a straight pathway in their CTE. Clean energy, healthcare, information and communications technology, and life sciences. So things in advanced technology are welding. That is something that you can do straight out of high school, get a certification. It's a union job, it's a great job, and it provides an opportunity for students to continue to grow. Clean energy, we're looking at sustainable systems. California just passed a law that we're looking to have limited purchase of cars that are carbon gas dependent and more oriented towards clean energy sources. And I believe it's 2034, 2044. I'll have to get the quote. That is the industry that is tomorrow. That is the industry that our students will be moving into. Healthcare. Used to be that the majority of healthcare opportunities were in the hospitals, more traditional, the nurses and the doctors, but that is changing rapidly as we speak. Ambulatory care is a rising need in our area, and they cannot fill the jobs. Information and communications technology. We realized how dependent we are on technology, especially during the pandemic, and what that looks like in the future. The world has shifted because of the pandemic, and the dependence and the integration of technology during that time has shaped a different workforce for our future. And things like cybersecurity, systems, network systems analysts, coding, software development are all industries that are growing and in need in San Diego. And finally, our life sciences. A lot of the work we're doing with our conservation programs, with our ocean connectors and our olive gardens are all feeder components to the industry of life sciences, clean water, biotechnology, and the medical fields, medical devices. Those are all related, and they are struggling to fill them with our local people. So the challenge is when the San Diego workforce did the study and asked industry, what are the challenges? And it really comes down to industry-specific knowledge, opportunities for students at a very early age to learn about careers and industries that they may not know about. And having the experience to decide, do I want to be a part of that? Is that my calling? Is that my purpose? And the earlier that they have these opportunities, the better. The more likely they're going to engage in those conversations and those practices as they leave us and enter the world of secondary and college. And so what do we want to do in fulfilling our promise and our vision? We want to help. We want to ensure our kids, should they choose, can stay in their hometown. And so what are the priority sector employers telling us? They need individuals with training, with experience. They want to collaborate with K-14 institutions and to give us input on what we might be able to provide, even at the earliest ages of TK, to help build the future social, the economics of San Diego and the workforce that we will need to keep our city thriving. And then to tailor programs to not only current industries, but to start getting students in there, individuals in there who will start projecting what the future is going to look like and how might we leverage it. So as we think about our expanded learning opportunities, as we think about the diversity, and we give more, not less, for our kids, because ultimately our promise to them is to make sure they have choice, and they have the choice to be globally competitive and the opportunities that many of them may not have. It's our responsibility to ensure that we open that door for them. Thank you.
Any questions? Sir. Sorry. Any questions?
This is largely not largely, this is focused on STEM, whichever you prefer. So I'm assuming, which might be a broad assumption, that we are still planning on providing, like this is added, that we are still working to figure where our VAPA pieces, because as has been pointed out, and appropriately so tonight, we still do have our dancers, and we still do have our artists, and we still do have our musicians, and we still do have our theater. We have all of those.
Right.
And so I am making the assumption that this is not neglecting that piece, that this is, and also.
That is correct.
Okay, because it can give the feeling that we are redirecting in a way that is focused solely on one area at the expense of the other, which is not what we want to have happen. We do want our students to, because in the same way that I draw very poor stick figures, and so art is not my skill area, we will have students for whom coding and the health fields are not their skill area, and they still, the other is still necessary. So
So I think you're asking, would this be in lieu of? And it's not, we are currently, so I want to honor the negotiations process, and make sure that I maintain the transparency and integrity of that. But in a broader sense, is this in lieu of, and would, or a disarray, or do visual and performing arts play a role in career technical pathways? They do. In fact, there's the fashion industry involved. It's a CTE pathway that really looks at the fashion and arts industry and production of it. In fact, when I was talking about information and communication technologies, one of the largest workforce components is the digital media arts that are involved in that piece. And so the arts are integrated throughout, and then there's just pure art for art's sake. And so we are looking to ensure that we continue that program, the programming of VAPA, and continue to provide supplemental opportunities for it.
Because as a classroom teacher, I will just.
True confessions.
Yes, this is a true confession, so and I don't want to, don't have, okay. I'm not gonna say what I first thought, which is okay for 8th graders, but I'm lousy as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it is something that I have implemented in class, as we all.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is not my skill set to teach well. I mean, I'm not going to advance a child as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I might help them understand that you can have interesting stick figures, but that's all I'm going to be able to give them. So knowing that we all have those areas of limit,
mm-hmm.
we don't want in any way to see that loss.
Mm-hmm.
So to clarify very distinctly that this is in addition.
It is more, not less. That is correct. In addition, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this presentation. And I think we have some questioning in regards how the teachers are being supported in this new way of implementing these life skill techniques. Urban agriculture is one of them. We have the testimony of the kids that really enjoy it, and environmental care is another one. And financial education may be a part of this because they go to middle school and they don't know how to write a check, or they don't know what a banking managing is. So I would like to see if that can be added to it. But my main concern now is how, knowing the fact that we have teacher leaving and then some new one coming, and then we have some necessities of restructuring, how is going to be the process now, how this is going to be implemented now, and how going to be the new vision for the CTA implementation plan, looking forward for the teaching support that they really need support on the time that is assigned for the academic portion of it, the teacher one-on-one, and how we're going to be incorporating the CTA into that curriculum on a daily basis.
So those discussions, and I want to honor right now, the discussion is at the negotiation table, and I'm not part of the negotiation table, so I can't speak to it, but I do know that there is there's a confidentiality, a practice in terms of it. So the implementation part as it relates to teachers, I think will end up coming out of those conversations and provide clarity. And then, and from there, we'll be able to, once we've heard some of the components that are critical to address, then we can adjust and flesh out and be able to present a much clearer pathway, because we do want to make sure we continue our conversations with our association.
Yeah, thank you. And so now, talking about the inclusion lens now, this is going to be how inclusive will be with kids that have more struggle learning all those opportunities, because now I have a special education teacher that has necessities about common classes. It's not necessarily one teaching sixth grade and they have com classes there that are low grades and they have not the same level of maturity, and how we're going to incorporate that. And I know those conversations needs to be able to establish now, and how we're going to make it happen when you have an inclusion lens on the classroom, and how we're going to adapt it to it.
So pre-COVID, we actually did, every year we analyze IEPs and ensure that we meet legal requirements for mainstreaming, where they are with their typical peers and meeting the state level requirement. Each year that number increases the amount of time that the expectation is for a student to be in gen ed. So pre-COVID, pre the pandemic, when we did look at inclusion time when the students were interacting, we did include enrichment time, we did include library time, we did include multiple opportunities in order to meet the minutes. Plus, we analyzed the IEP. There were times where students had in their IEP that they were to do it during math or language arts. So the IEP drove that, and then the overarching percentage of time in the mainstream, we were fairly diligent in ensuring that our special needs students who are in the mild, mod, and the mod severe had that met the criteria of mainstreaming or inclusion time.
Yeah, thank you. And the last question that came to my head when we are incorporating abilities and skills set capacity for our children. So my question is in regards how we're going to assess at the beginning what is what the process will be, how you oversee how the teacher can ask for, can have a bigger portion of the classroom that they love art, but the other one wants theater or drama or maybe only music on the classroom. What is going to be the process that you foresee when this is implemented if we adopted it?
So I think one of our first steps, again, there's components that are will be settled with negotiation, but I think one of the first steps is to have discussions with our consultation team and to understand and whatever ends up happening in terms of the negotiation impact. So if I think I understand, is you're asking like how will we assess and provide opportunity for each student to, since at an elementary level, we're still developing. And one of the ideas I have that I'm looking at is to have kind of one or two components like the arts, for example, spiraling through the grade levels, and then particulars in each or repeats in each so that students are getting breadth. Because we have to make sure that the teachers have the time to teach and, not to have too much aspects. But one of the thoughts I had is that you kind of have a core within a grade level that you experience, like sixth grade camp, for example. Sixth graders experience sixth grade camp. That's part. And that is a sixth grade thing. In other districts, fifth graders do financial literacy and they do junior achievement. And so that's kind of my thought pattern. But we're just kind of looking at the bigger version of the vision right now, waiting to see what happens with our discussions. And then hopefully we'll be able to flesh out, get some input, and move forward with a tighter perspective.
Sure, thank you. And the last but not least, what is going to be the deadline or the looking ahead about this implementation of this program that you are presenting tonight? And I would like to see how are you going to see what is going to be the next steps to follow for us to consider in the future for the people that is actually going to be implementing, which is teachers and the states, and there's how is going to be ready to get involved in this. Because we can have the high school level, we have the welding, and we have several builders in third grade, for example. How we're going to incorporate all those resources to them in a manner that they might understand that this is what I want to do in life. So this is I wanted to make that question in there. So maybe we can start preparing parents to say, offering those opportunities for parents to see and offer them at home, and then they can choose when they are in the classroom. But how about if I have a neighbor classroom that it has the same vision as me, or that maybe they choose the same profession, and how is going to be that happening? We're going to do that on a classroom setting, and then we can put one student from one there, and they can incorporate it to the other ones. Maybe they can work together and build something pretty. because they have that capacity to be trained on that.
I think being able to, have partnerships, like I think what you're saying with Sweetwater, and these opportunities are not just limited to, the regular classroom day. There can be opportunities, coding clubs, robotics clubs, for extended learning. That students can participate in. And if I think I understand, will there be opportunities where students can collaborate and kind of use their passions to do projects? That would be something, if a classroom teacher was interested in, project-based learning, that we could provide training if that's something that they were interested in doing.
All right, thank you. That is my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And if I could just jump in and say, tonight really is about kind of a vision for a shift that we're considering in terms of programming for students to meet the current and future need. But all of those details, those specifics, we really want to engage our teachers in that conversation to see where the most important pieces to focus on would be. They'll help shape that plan. And I think that that's part of that consultation process that Dr. Kraft said. So more on that as we go through that process.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not on the bargaining part, but hopefully we can come up with some agreement and implement this because it looks very promising, especially if we can include climate change in that curriculum. Will be
Clean
very
energy.
nice.
Life sciences, clean energy. I started putting them all in my head. Trustee Gates?
One of the things that was brought up last board meeting with relation to this, with the enrichment program, that I'd like to clarify if we can, was PE minutes. Because I know full well that we have a mandated 200 minutes every 10 days that we are obligated to give as classroom teachers in conjunction with enrichment, but I don't believe even with our optimal, at its peak enrichment time, that we could have met that with only enrichment teacher time. So that was something brought up at the last board meeting that was a great concern to me because that has been that's been a statewide lawsuit.
Yes.
So
we were part of that
Can you
lawsuit.
clarify, please, since this is in keeping with the enrichment discussion, what our status is with regard to PE and how we meet our minutes? I know it's off your presentation and I apologize for that. Yet at the same time, it is very much a concern.
Right. So we were part of that lawsuit. There was a lawsuit in which
It was a phishing lawsuit. I'm clarifying for
Yes.
everyone. It was a phishing lawsuit. It
Yes.
was someone who just went around the state and said, oh, let's pick a whole bunch of
all these schools and we're going
school
to
districts that we aren't even, our children aren't even in. So
Right.
They aren't supposed to be allowed to do that anymore, but hey.
So we, prior to the pandemic, we would collect certifications or attestments from classroom teachers, noting that they were teaching the required minutes of PE. That is the requirement. It's, I think, one of the only core areas that has actual required minutes. And so we would collect them every month from classroom teachers to ensure that if the phishing lawsuit came around again, that we had the evidence with respect to that. So earlier in the slide, when I spoke to CORE, it is the classroom teacher's responsibility in terms of meeting those minutes, and they're the ones that signed it. And so some teachers utilized and incorporated the time that enrichment provided, and some teachers who were very passionate, that's their wheelhouse, exceeded those pieces. So we do have every year the classroom teachers with their site supervisor do consult on what the instructional day, the schedule looks like at their school site, and they are aware that the PE minutes are there and to incorporate it. And I think one of the key pieces that I would want to revisit would be the PE standards, because oftentimes PE can look very different, physical education. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into one of our classrooms and just walked, and I had kindergartners doing yoga, and it was a brain break, but they were doing yoga. And so if you look at the PE standards, the stretching, the collaboration they were working on with it met that criteria. When you see the girl noodle and they're doing, the hoppy hop jump move over here, that's one of our standards. You got to hop in place and be able to do that. So I think one of the things I would want to revisit when, discussions are settled is making sure that we remember maybe what all of the PE requirements are. I mean, I think oftentimes we don't give ourselves credit for the PE that is happening in the classroom. And it's not always, we're going to go out and play kickball. And so, as I said, I do believe our teachers are meeting that legal requirement. We have had discussions as to, do we need to continue to collect those data points with respect to the PE minutes? I'm a little bit, curious as to, and I would probably defer to council because the fishing lawsuit could come tomorrow, just based on some discussions. And so, to be able to ensure that that is in place, should that happen again, and that we know that we are meeting the state requirement for the 400 minutes, 200 minutes, 200 every 10 days. But that's probably something that I'm still kind of exploring and seeing if that's one more thing that, we have to ask from our teachers. But of course, I want to make sure that if we do find ourselves in a position, that we can clearly present them with the documentation. You're welcome.
I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Kraft, for clarifying a lot of concerns and a lot of questions that I've been asked in regards to the enrichment program. I think as far as this is not in lieu of, because as you know, I would not be supporting something that we would be taking from our kids.
No.
The arts is very, very, very important to our kids in the community, and it's all about giving more and not taking away. So I look forward to hopefully having that discussion after negotiations and see how that's going to look for our kids. As I'm excited. I know that I've been asking about the CTE program and how we can encourage our kids to really get the exposure that they need to be that competitive student that for our community. So thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I will do the question because I know the enrichment part is being on the hot topic right now, and knowing the fact that we have an audience also outside in there. I know that this enrichment program, if it's gone, and I know it was used for some planning on the teachers and the classroom, and parents know that too. But what's going to happen to it? How we're going to be working on that moving forward?
So I think that's a topic that is going through negotiations. Yeah.
And just to put out there and mindful of the parents, the audience, and the teachers present here, just to make sure that we are considering, and hopefully, as I mentioned, I'm not in the bargaining team, but how we can, as board members, can support the teachers' decisions for the students. And I know we're working diligently for everything. And we don't have, I always said I don't have 5 children or 4 children. I have like almost 5,000 now. But how can I proper inform and when they approach to us and make those questions clarified for them, and as well for the teacher that approach to us on emails and we face them on the stores, and how we can approach and give the proper message in there and give the message the right way. Thank you.
Yes, like I said, we've been asked many questions, and so thank you for a lot of clarification. I do look forward to hopefully getting that resolution through negotiations soon, so that way we have some answers sooner rather than later, because I know it's a lot of information that our families are waiting for, our teachers and our students. Most importantly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Item 10B is to adopt resolution number 22-23.16 claiming October 23rd to the 31st, 2022 as Drug Awareness Week, National Red Ribbon Week, and National School District.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote.
I do have a question, but it's after. It's not pertaining to voting. Do they Spirit Week still on Red Ribbon Week? So that all the, like, the cost, like, we can dress up and we can do all the things that, like they have things that, like, to bring attention to different days.
Like Team Up Against Drugs, and everybody wore their Padre things the other
Yes.
day. Yeah, we
Okay,
went to a visit.
good.
on one of those.
Good. Those are, it catches their attention. And it's the thing, anything that we can do that kind of makes a connection for our kids to highlight. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure we were still doing some of that.
Thank you. If we can get everybody to vote.
Thank you.
And it passes unanimously.
Item 10C is to approve CT 3996 Memorandum of Understanding with West Ed for administration of the California Healthy Kids Survey. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve contract 3996.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
No.
Please vote.
And it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10D is to approve CT 3997 with SBCS for the Prevention Early Intervention Grant.
So I just wanted to let the board know that this, although it's a new approval, this is the same grant we've had. We refer to it as the Dinosaur School Grant. The last time the board approved it, it had reached its 5-year maximum renewal component. And so, and it is grant funded. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
It is grant funded, and so it's kind of, as grants are, a year-to-year or 2-year kind of component. Fortunately, they did receive additional funding, and so they, of course, reached out. They love our schools and working with our kids, and it provides additional mental health services really targeted to our younger kids. And so we would like to be able to provide that. And they do pick a school, generally a year, 1 school or 2 schools, and this year there was only 1. And so we would like to be able to do that at El Toyon.
Can I get a motion?
Yes, I had a question before we move forward with this. I know this is preschool to 3rd grade or too young. What's going to happen with the rest of the grades, like 4 through 6?
So we have our regular counselors, and then we have one at every site, and they will continue to provide the same services. The grant just supplements, gives more.
It's pretty child's needs, right? That they've been identified that they have any.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Preschool psychology, I guess. Right? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Can I get a motion if there's no additional discussion?
No,
There's a second.
I'll make the
No one's making, no one's made a motion.
I'll make that motion, please.
Okay, I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. No additional discussion?
I'm just to say happy to receive this.
And it passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 10E is to approve CT 4000 with SVCS Corporation for supplemental services for the Family Resource Center program. Dr. Grant.
Thank you, Board President. I wanted just to kind of share a little bit about the phenomena that we've been seeing post the shutdown during the pandemic. We have seen an impact significantly to our families because of pervasive issues of basic needs. We've seen a lower engagement academically of students whose families have been experiencing and continue to experience economic, social, and mental health issues. And they are at a number that has exceeded what we have typically dealt with. And so I did talk to our partner, Maris Torre is here from SBCS, regarding being able to provide, the conversation began around additional mental health services for our families so that the wait wasn't so long and the issues of the students not being able to be engaged because of family needs. And I learned that the San Diego County Office of Ed, as well as our partner district, Sweetwater, have partnered with SBCS and use the one-time funding to address that issue. And so these individuals, these youth development individuals, would replicate what has been showing promise in our Sweetwater district in reaching out and being almost a case manager, so to speak, for our families that are still struggling significantly, aligning them to services that oftentimes a lot of hoop jumping becomes very difficult to access, and really working with the focus of stabilization. I did ask Mauricio to be here to share some of the components that have showed promise. And again, this would be, as part of the one-time, a short-term investment that we would be looking at and addressing and hoping to alleviate some of the mitigated learning loss that we've had, and to mitigate learning loss we've had. So if it's all right, I'd like Mr. Torre just to share just a bit about just a bit.
Good evening. Wow, what an intimate setting tonight, right? Just two of us now. My name is Mauricio Torre. I'm the Vice President of Program Operations with SBCS, and we've been longtime partners with the National City School District. A big portion of what we do are mental health services, and that's a big part of our expertise. It's not only mental health. It starts off with a family assessment, and we do a deep dive to find out what's happening with the family as a whole. So in many ways, we take a look at socioeconomic status, we take a look at mental health, we take a look at financial ability, positive peer relations. So it's a holistic approach that we take. And what we found in doing this similar work with San Diego County Office of Ed and the Sweetwater Union High School District is that many of the families that are disengaging because of post-COVID or now that we're still in COVID, is they're dealing with multiple issues. Many of them, they're lacking basic needs. So a big part of what we do is we go out, we meet with the family. The initial referral can be whether it's a child not showing up to school, maybe anger management issues. The focus is on the hardest to reach youth, and we engage with the family, starting with phone calls. If we can't find phone calls, we'll actually do a home visit, and we'll complete a family assessment, and from there create a service plan to engage the family and find out and link them to services, and at the same time provide those mental health services. Although this is a one-time funding, I think an important thing for our organization is to take a look at long-term stability, right? So what we're doing is, this is in addition, but we're also linking it to existing programming. That way, when the funds end, we've created a direct link with the schools that we're working with to our existing services that we have within SBCS and our partners. So although it is one-time funding, our goal is to create some infrastructure so families learn about the services that are available to them, and they can actually, without this programming in the future, we've created that link so they can access services in the future.
And just so the board knows, we did submit with SBCS for we submitted, right?
We sure did.
For the Promised Neighborhood grant, which would take the same service and even make it greater, and it would be actually living within our school district in one of our facilities, so that it is immediate access to our parents. So hopefully, if we are selected and we're pretty darn close last time, so we're hoping that this time we will get it. This could also fold into that and become something sustainable because as we are seeing and we are hearing, the services for mental health and food insecurities are so inundated that there's a lot of issues with accessing it and a lot of hoops to jump through. And so we want to make sure that we kind of nip that as soon as we can for our parents, because ultimately when we have stabilization, when we've eradicated that food insecurity, we tend to see engagement with our students.
One question I had was, the individuals that we would be bringing, that would be supporting our district, would they be dedicated just to our district, or would we be sharing them?
It's a great question. This week, they're dedicated specifically to the National City School District. So what they'll eventually do is they're meeting with the families. They'll also link them to services within SBCS or our partner organizations, but specifically there'll be people that will be hired on to do this work, and they're 100% focused on the National City School District, children and families.
And will you be helping with the education portion so that way our families are aware that we have this program and really get the word out? Because I know we've had the program and sometimes it's not as well known. So we want to ensure that right now, as the need is there, we want to direct them without anybody feeling embarrassed or, that insecurity of reaching out for that help.
Correct. Outreach definitely would be a part of this. I think a major role is making sure that the hardest to reach families that maybe generally don't know about these type of services, we will be focusing on getting that information out and making sure we do reach as many people as we can.
Thank you. Now that you mentioned that not so many people know about this, I just want to express how blessed we are to partner with you and your agency. I'm a recipient of services myself, and it can be a variety of services that you provide, even taxes, and being a recipient of services before for domestic violence, for assessment for kids that they have special needs in an early stage. This also has been a questioning about how we can outreach to our communities about, because we have low-income families, but we also have medium-income families that the insurance kicked in and we're not entitled or we don't qualify for those services. South Bay Community Services has done an outstanding job making that flexibility to happen to kids that may not fulfill the requirement of low income, but they have medium income necessities, and the criteria is there, and they resource us to make the flexibility and make things happen for the services that they're being entitled to. And I would like to express my gratitude for your agency and the collaboration that we've been doing is outstanding. And I'm currently receiving mental health for my kids, but I would like to see more details about this, about suicidal prevention, for example, or maybe about alcoholism in the family. And it's all those components that families don't know that they are there. And we see a family resource center because the name speaks by themselves, is resourcing the family as a whole, not only the student, but it's the whole environment at home is how it's going to be assessed. So hopefully I can see more, we can be more proactive about how we can communicate the services that is there, and it's not limited to because of your income or you don't qualify for $100 or because you have insurance and private, but there's a flexibility always to get being the recipients of those services. And I would like to put that word in there that there's resources there that we're entitled to receive, but we also have the flexibility to obtain for the whole family, not only for the student itself. That will impact the last system will be impact the achievement for the student while he's behaving in the classroom. And thank you. I would like to be expressing again my gratitude and a blessing to have this partnership in this school district.
Thank you.
One thing that I would like to is how can we also provide mentorship to our families, because oftentimes we don't have the understanding to recognize signs, and also when our children may be in seeking assistance, how do the parents deal with the child that is seeking assistance? So being able to understand our role as parents and our role as children and how to communicate that, so that there's that dialogue going back and forth. Because what parents don't know, it's also a hindrance to our children.
Right.
So if we can see how we can help educate our families before, and maybe be more preventative, and so that way we don't have to utilize the services in that way, but utilize the services from the front end.
Definitely. That's definitely something that, as we design this, we always use data and information to design the programming. So I think this is the first step. But a big part of this will be touching base with what teachers and administrators are seeing at the different school sites. And it may be, the design may be a little different with one school site, and another school may have a different needs. And I think a big part of what we do is we make sure that we're flexible and we're responsive to the school sites and the community as a whole. So we will definitely walk into this with open eyes and open ears, and really listening to what the needs are, and then designing. There's the core services, but there's also the most important piece is how do you connect with families. And I agree is that we look at sustainability as well, and a big part of this is how do we teach families? How do we create mentorship opportunities with parents? Because then parents that have the knowledge will share the knowledge with other parents. So know that that's part of our design as we take a look at this.
Because parents, sometimes my difference in that just to share is, I don't know what to look for. So if I don't know what to look for, how do I know to get my child the help that they need? And so that is a part of the problem is if it's not known. And a lot of times our children are crying out for help in ways that we parents don't know. And so if we can do some sort of intervention, I think that would be great. So
Yeah, just the last question.
Ms. Gates had a
Okay, go ahead. I'm wondering, and this probably isn't nice to do, but I'm wondering what you've been seeing, what trends you've been seeing for us. And the reason that might not be nice is because I'm asking you to maybe throw out information that I didn't. If it's in your back pocket, that's awesome. I like to do this to Mr. Evanesian.
Yeah. It actually is in my back pocket because we pay very close attention. I can tell you the trends that we're seeing across the school districts, right? So I think one, social emotional issues have become a very big, I think that's one of the top priorities is as the schools shut down, children didn't have access to other children. And, along with that, we had a lot of low income families that had food insecurity, housing insecurity. Many of the families that we work with also are single parents, so they saw the stress of money and worry. So there's some trauma involved in there, but I'd say social emotional issue number one. Issue number two, food insecurity, housing insecurity. And then the third thing that we take very serious as well is math and English scores. So as an organization, and the best way to fight poverty is really through an educational pathway. So we have a strong commitment to helping support families in math and English, right? So I think learning loss is a major issue that we're going to be dealing with, for the years to come. But all of this starts with safety and creating a safe place for parents where they don't have food insecurity, housing insecurity. So those are the three top issues that not only have we seen it National City School District with Sweetwater, San Ysidro, San Diego County Office of Ed, and it's almost a mirror across the board. That's what we continually hear from the different school districts.
And my connecting questions are one, do you have any information on the statistics and the change? Because, again, it baffles me that someone would think, which Zillow did not too long ago, that my house should be worth $800,000 in National City. And I turn around and look at my neighbors and wonder who could buy my house and stay here. And the answer is, if they're renting, probably very few of them,
Mm-hmm.
and that in and of itself, A, it's just wrong, but B, it also speaks to the issue of those, like our families who were not paid or not paid much throughout COVID and are still getting feet back under them. Like we're essentially throwing them out of National City. And so I'm wondering what you're seeing when it comes to the unsheltered numbers and how much change you're seeing. And
And food insecurity, like what increases have you seen for our awareness, but also if there is any idea of potential stabilization at
It's,
any point?
I think, along with inflation, I mean, we've seen more families are coming to our food banks. And during COVID, we increased it. We used to have food banks. It was 2 times a month. We went to 4 days a week. And we're seeing, the food goes very quickly. And I think that, that along with inflation, those have been some major issues. And you look at homelessness, when we look at individuals coming into our organization without stable housing, we've seen an increase right around 20-25%. Although as an organization, we work with families that have the biggest challenges, right? So we're seeing more of that come in. I think as we look around as community members, there is more homeless, more families that are homeless, and many of them are the ones you don't see that are couch surfing, or that five individuals in a bedroom, or a couple of families sharing space. So we've seen more instances of that. There is, a lot of support coming down through the county. So there is some funds that will be coming down and that will address chronic homelessness, which are the individuals that we see out in the community on a regular basis. But I think the harder to reach are the families that are doubling up, the couch surfing families. But homelessness rates have increased. But as an organization for us, they're right around 20% is what we've seen, and they'll probably get a little bit worse before they get better. So hopefully, but there is light at the end of the tunnel as there's more resources coming in.
Thank you. Dr. Pat?
And just to echo what Mauricio is saying is that we have seen long-term families in our area displaced post-closure. But I can, speak to about 8 sit-down meetings that I had with parents who, right now it's crisis. And the school, National School District, their kids continuing to go to that same school, to go to 6th grade camp, what they've been putting out for, to get Mrs. Bernardino, because that's who I was supposed to get. That, those conversations have been happening, and that displacement, they've had to move out, they're putting in permits, they're doing everything they can to maintain what they have, the normal, right? And so we've done what we could out of educational services and student support services, but it's a greater need, and we want to be able to bring what we can to our families. And we do have this opportunity with these one-time monies, and hopefully, as Mauricio says, maybe within a year or two, we could see more stabilization. But right now, we're still seeing those numbers. And the most concerning part is we had 2 years with distance learning. We did the best we could, and we got. But now, when you're looking at the impact of the aftermath of that, it's now making a pervasive, not 2 years, but 3 years, 4 years of that disruption to learning. And we're hoping that we can kind of stabilize that as families become stabilized.
Thank you. This is coming back to the contract itself. This contract calls for 3 staff members, and we are 10 schools. And just to put it on the audience so they can know that we identify those 3. What capacity we have if they got knowing the trending about the need of mental health, and they might be a little bit backed up with work, and what is the capacity we have is on your side to be able to provide. I'm thinking about maybe psychology interns, for example, that can take over the caseload for this 3, because I know 3 will be okay, but hopefully we have some more. But the contract calls only for 3 staff members from the side, right? Just to clarify that.
Correct. So it will be 3, and I think as caseloads increase, there's different creative things that we can do, whether it's support groups. So it is limited, but we will take a look in. Just as that with everything we do as an organization, we leverage it with other services. So we'll make sure it's integrated.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback on that, it's to clarify 3 in addition to the staff that we already currently have.
Correct. Yeah, it's an enhancement.
More. Okay, so, after that discussion, can I get a motion?
Yes, I make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you, Marisa.
Item 11, Human Resources. 11A is to approve memorandum of understanding between the California School Employees Association and its national chapter 206 and the National School District regarding healthcare instructional assistance. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the CSEA.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? If none, please vote. Thank you. Item 12, business services. 12A is to adjust monthly stipend for governing board members. And prior to us making a motion, the item needs to be corrected to reflect the retroactive payment of $203.40. So the total financial impact would be $1,017. So with that correction,
Madam President, I would like to pull this item and have it come back when all members are present.
I second that, is the motion, right? Yes. I second the motion too.
That'll give us an opportunity. That'll give us an opportunity to correct that amount and to dig in a little bit.
right. So we'll pull this item for a future agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 12B is to approve CT 3986 through CT 3995 with YMCA Camp Marston for 6th grade camp. Prior to us moving forward on this item, the correction that we need to address is that the funding source for this would be general fund through Title I. So with that,
I'd like to make that motion for 6th grade camp.
I have a second, I have a second motion with a question. This calls for only the cost per student of $290, which is nice to have, right? But my question is, if we have the need for special ed student that might be needing somebody to tag along, what will be the financial impact on this? Yeah, is this been considered in, or would you have to be pulling some money from it just to cover the staff?
So this agreement tonight is only for the contracts with YMCA for students to attend. It's not all encompassing for the total cost of the camp program.
All right.
So that example you brought up would be like a personnel cost.
Okay.
So it would be really like a time card if it's outside of the regular hours. So that would be something that comes through on consent agenda on a normal basis.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. It's a personal question too.
so similar to for the transportation of their luggage and so on, that would be
Yes.
separate because this is strictly for YMCA contract and it doesn't affect any.
Per student, right?
That is correct.
And if I could just add that the board had previously approved the budget, the overall budget for camp through the LCAP process. So this is just authorizing the contract that goes with your prior approval of the budget. So the entire budget included all of those extra things, the cost of camp, aids to attend, teacher stipends, luggage, transportation. So that's been approved by the board. This is the contract, the corresponding contract that authorizes Camp Marston.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. If we have no additional discussion.
Yay. I keep waiting to go to camp with National School District.
You can go up
I just
north.
haven't- So,
I'll be
taking students and taking students, like, that's why.
It's really hard.
Well, but we're taking students.
Item 12C is to approve CT 3999 with the San Diego. Okay. San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve contract 3999.
I second the motion.
Mr. Venezia, did you have anything to say?
So this is an agreement with our local air control board. They will fund, it's about 90% of the cost of an electric bus, an electric school bus, 100% electric school bus. It covers about 90%. The district will need to pay the rest of the difference. This agreement is basically with the board that says we want to enter into this grant program. The next step would be we actually bring an agreement to the board to purchase a school bus. Right now, we're looking at, the brand is called Bluebird. Bluebird is well known. If you've seen it, you know what a Bluebird is. Previous to that, we were looking at other brands, but we learned that Bluebird has really stepped up into the electric school bus, and they're a very well-known school bus manufacturer. So we're waiting for a quote for a Bluebird school bus. Once we receive that, we will look to find a contract that is a piggyback bid through Bluebird. We're looking at somewhere around the cost of $400,000 to $420,000. It could be more. Prices change every day, but it's based off of the options we have in the bus. And also, we're looking at a delivery time of anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Yeah. So our next step will be we sign this agreement with the Air Board, and they will give us the permission to go and purchase that bus, which they will reimburse us. They'll actually pay manufacturer directly, and we will pay the difference. And then after that, there's just reports that we have to submit on a yearly basis on what kind of difference we're making in terms of the fuel that we're saving. They calculate how much pollution that saves in terms of releasing into the environment. This is the first grant that we have for an electric school bus. We did apply for more grant money from the EPA for more school buses that are purely electric. That grant program does not cover 100% of the cost of the school bus, but my understanding is the federal government pumped more money into it. So we're waiting to see what the results of that grant is to see if that's an option of converting more of our diesel school buses to electric school buses in the future.
I have a question. Do we have capacity to, what are we going to charge this vehicle? That requires a lot of cost though. Okay, she's charging for the station will be doing the job, but this comes to my head just right now is like, how about the charging station for our electric vehicle?
That's a great question. You can't simply plug it
Let's
into
go
the
to
wall.
Bonita Mall.
They do provide a charger that we will have to install. It's not your traditional charger that you see for like a Tesla charger that's installed. It looks different. It's designed for the bus specifically. We will have to install that in our lot downstairs where we park our bus. Also, that's a longer term question. If we do eventually convert all of our buses to electric buses, we will have to look at a larger project down there to not only install the chargers, but to make sure that the transformer that feeds the energy to those chargers is adequate to provide that kind of charging capacity.
Okay, is there a need for an upgrade up here on the ground in this office? I mean, on the department of transportation. I mean, installment, electric technology staff that they can just program in and ready to go.
My personal opinion, yes, there's a lot we could do with the lot downstairs in terms of facilities upgrades. Not only what you don't see, so what's on the ground, but also above ground. There's a lot of improvements we could do. We also have the empty lot that's next to our lot that is for sale, but it is becoming a nuisance, so to speak. It does attract various people, and we contact the owner of that often, but there are a lot of things we could do with the lot downstairs, but right now, we don't want to invest too much into it until we know for certain, if we go to an all-electric school bus fleet, then we would have to make some significant investments in the lot downstairs.
Thank you. I wonder which was gonna be the lucky driver for the first time.
Mr. Vanessa, I have a question. Is there a requirement as to what we do with the bus that is being replaced?
Great question. There is a requirement. We do have to crush the bus.
Oh. So it can be donated or?
It can, no, we will have to take it to it's a junkyard, but they crush the entire bus and they give us a certification that says they crushed the bus, or they make it inoperable by punching holes in the engine.
Do we get any money for it if it's junk?
We do not.
No?
That's interesting.
They want to make sure that they take diesel buses off the road. And part of the grant is that we had to have had this bus in our fleet for at least 2 years. So we couldn't just purchase a diesel bus and then a used one and then transfer that in. So,
Okay.
and it's great for us to pilot with one electric school bus because it's different. It's absolutely different maintaining an electric school bus than a diesel fuel school bus, and also there's capacity limits in terms of how far a school bus can go on electric charge. There's a lot of things we'll learn with the one bus.
And do we have the personnel for the maintenance and the upkeep for that?
Sorry, I can't hear Ms. Maria, Madam President.
Do we have the personnel to provide the maintenance and the upkeep of our electric school bus?
Honestly, I'm not even sure what kind of maintenance and upkeep an electric school bus requires. But that's something we will work with Bluebird on. If we do end up purchasing a Bluebird school bus, to understand what do we need to know to service the school bus. It's still going to need new brakes. It's still going to need new tires, but there's no fluids in terms of oils or brake fluids. So it's a completely different experience that we will provide training for our staff to make sure that if there's something we could do internally, we will. But it's going to be a learning curve for everyone, especially the drivers as well.
Well, once we get our school bus, maybe we can have a board meeting on the bus. Or just take a field trip. Thank you so much. Do we have any additional questions? So we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 13 is board communications. Ms. Stella?
Thank you. I'd just like to congratulate Dr. Segura on her presentation and all the children that came. It was very, very pleasant to hear them give their presentation. It's always very pleasant, very nice to hear them. And I agree with Madam President that this is the first time that I've seen all of the employees that we've hired come to the board meeting to be introduced. So that was very nice. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I second the voice of Ms. Dalla about the Dr. Segura's fourth graders, and it was an honor for me to be backing up all their statements and their excitement about being that. And because I could see when I work with them and they see me, and some of them, and they were on the Jamboard, that they saw a lady digging a hole to plant a tree. And that was me. So they see everything that they have, the experience, the adventures, and I couldn't be happier to see that they're excited about it, they're learning and they're expressing it on the classroom. Because after they go to the classroom and they discuss what they see, what they learn, and what they experience, and we almost sometimes we traumatize kids with food, and food needs to be a medicine, and they should be taken of that. So I'm glad that our early stages like they have mindful conscience about what they put on their bodies, and which is really exciting to have this partnership with all of the gardens and me being part of this and being strongly advocating for also land honoring, and because now they started to do that and they're honoring the land what they're saying, because they're using language of kumiai and they don't know what kumiai was. And being a second, third, first, third, when they go to third, fourth, they start learning about pilgrim and the immigration of East Coast to West Coast, and that they're learning now, and this is very exciting to see. And also, I wanted to have a big shout out to Dr. Segura, because I know I was able to attend her parent coffee with the principal, and she got engaged. A lot of parents. She's doing an outstanding job. I just want to give a big shout out to her, and hopefully all the principals can have a coffee with the principals, because I'm going to be there. And also, I'm a big fan of Judy Human, and I come across of her bulletins, and I just want to highlight one of those prior former students, which is about Wright. She was a recipient of a honoring, a mentioning of an equal opportunity for students. She's currently in middle school, and I came across with her picture because she's one of the nominees and the winner about this equal opportunity grant, and she was the grantee for $1,000. She's a former classmate of my son, and she did outstanding. She was a sixth grader, now he's in sixth, and she's in middle school. But she wrote a quote about her identity being identified as a disabled student. And she said, I'm passionate about disability justice because it feels just like it's not fair to other people that are treated differently. And it's not fair that they have a disability which is not identifying me as a person. And I think this is powerful, and this is the perfect example how we empower our children, and how the teacher implementation and how they can take over a project. And she was part of the accessibility project on the past, and for sure for now she oversees as a youth now, and she can become more vocal about rights for people and identification, and they become struggle and they become stronger. And we tend to judge them with how we're going to oversee this. And this is a perfect example how we empower our children, and hopefully we can get some more EVA rights out there that they can be taking over the disability and making a great thing about it and be proud of it. So I just want to mention to Ava, and congratulations to her. I can see her as a leader in the future, and I'm glad that Judy Human have this vision, because she's disabled because of a polymyelitis condition, that it was very hard for her to be in college. She was discriminated, and I'm a big fan of her. So hopefully she can continue the mission and empower those children. And just as a last, I was shouting for her. She competed with college students that are disabled, and she's the only middle schooler. So just congratulations, Awad, and with the bottom of my heart, tell you I'm very proud of you, and hopefully we can be empowered by her too. And otherwise, have a great night, everyone.
Yeah, I want to thank the Aldwood students for coming. If we were looking at a rubric, I think they nailed every spot. So we had obviously well-planned, well-written, well-spoken, easy to understand, clear voices, eye contact.
Happiness.
Yes, and they were awesome. So to their teachers as well, who obviously worked with them, and parents who encouraged and worked with them, nice job, because they were fabulous. Also, as always, yay for sixth grade camp. I want to also take a second to thank and honor the teachers and parents who came to advocate on behalf of students. It is absolutely necessary for us to hear from you. On the one hand, you need to hopefully understand that as a board, we can't have negotiation-like conversations with you.
but we absolutely can listen to you and hear from you regarding needs or concerns or confusions. And so please talk to us and let us know. And whether it's in this forum or whether it is calling or emailing, the only way that we sometimes are informed, because, you know, it's when you tell us. So thank you for coming and advocating on behalf of the students who live in your homes or live in your classes every day. I'm very excited about the educators who are moving from classrooms into district roles. The names that I see, some of them I know personally, and some of them I've known for 18, 20 years. And it's exciting because on the one hand, it's kind of, we go, wow, wait a minute, they're leaving the classroom, you gotta be kidding me, because they're rock stars. They're sitting in the classroom and they have set that example. And yet, because they've set that example, and those are the type of people we have in our classrooms, we are able to, with confidence, have them in the district office as resource teachers to everyone. And so for those new teachers who will be coming into those spots, to have them as mentors, and it's just a beautiful thing. So I'm very excited for that. And I just will quietly throw in there, yay, Betsy. Last thing that I do ask, I am hoping that sometime, now that we are past fall break and past the beginning of, like, that beginning, where's everybody, how's everything fit, that we can, as a board, receive the information regarding teachers and attrition of roles, number of students, and classroom overall assignments and capacity. So when you are, like I said, we like to honor the fact that there's a lot on your plate at the beginning of the year and that we need to settle. But I would like to remind that we are interested, I am interested in seeing where we've fallen, and especially since all the changes that have taken place since we started almost 2 years ago. We started almost 2 years ago and first heard that we had adjustments to make in our employment rosters. So, putting that back out there. But thank you for everything tonight.
Mr. Valencians?
Thank you, Board President. So we had the opportunity to visit Palmer Way, Olivewood, and Kimball School this past 2 weeks. One thing you would notice, my favorite classes are the TK classes, but there's new furniture in those classes, and if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's perfectly sized for the kids. The classes look great, and I just want to thank our purchasing department for getting that done, ordering it, but also delivering and installing the furniture over the fall break. So
Please tell me you sat in a chair.
You did.
yes,
Did they feed you also?
I don't think there's a picture of that.
He made coffee.
You made coffee.
Well, and he also checked if things were level using the tools. From the Dungeons and Dragons and Princesses with the TK people. So it's exciting. I feel you.
Just doing quality control.
I told him we're going to collect a slideshow of all of his fun TK adventures.
Thank you.
I want to thank the John Otis students for the great presentation tonight. It was wonderful to see them in action, and thank you to Leticia Segura. I'm sure she worked with them to prepare for the presentation. I also want to thank Israel Mora Reyes, for outstanding volunteer. We can't do this work without our volunteers and our parents engaged, so thank you so much. Also thanking our certificated employee of the month, Maria Duarte, and I want to welcome all the new employees. Lastly, I do want to say a thank you to the staff at Olivewood for really accommodating the visit that we had this week. Dr. Brady, the board, and any district staff that helped support and get that the school ready for our visit. I think oh yes, so we had visitors from, I wrote it down here, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, the White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Hispanics, and the National Institute of Food and Agriculture with the USDA. And so they're all political appointees from the Biden-Harris administration, and for them to come to National School District, we're very proud. Of the 5 visitors, 2 of them are from South Bay. So we're very proud of that, and one of them is an alumni here from El Toyon. So we're very proud, and Las Palmas, right, and Las Palmas. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for making that happen.
Dr. Pratt?
Thank you. I would like to also applaud John Otis and the team, Dr. Segura and Mrs. Reynoso, and the students did a beautiful job, and I felt the love and the passion and the happiness. I also would like to do an extra shout out for Maria Duarte. She is everything that Ms. Carrillo shared and more. And so I'm really glad to see that she received that award. And then finally, we did have the opportunity to visit many schools, and we got to see the healthcare IAs in the classroom. And I just want to thank them. That was a quick shift. And they went immediately into those classrooms, and it didn't look like there was even a beat skipped, as if they'd always been there. And so I just wanted to recognize their support and the work in the SDC classrooms that we were able to visit.
Thank you. Dr. Brady?
I have more good news to share. As you heard at the last board meeting, I was going to bring a group of students to Irvine to compete in a business challenge at Amazon Web Services. Our students, we had 18 of our 23 roundtable students who were available over the break. And after the board meeting, I had a teacher who was watching on YouTube text me and ask if she could go along with us, a 4th grade teacher from Ira Harbison, Angelica Hernandez. Mr. Bland also went, and Candy drove the bus, and Jocelyn was there. And our students were in different groups. They each had, I think there was an actual mentor for every single student that showed up. Our students competed against several other groups, even high school students, as you were mentioning the other award. And one of our groups actually won the entire challenge. And so we are so proud. We've decided they're going to do a board presentation. They're going to come share their experience with you. And then they competed for a cash prize, which I told them that they could not keep. But as a team, they decided to donate their cash prize to Stein Farm here in San Diego. So we're going to invite Stein Farm, and the students will be presenting their award and kind of a little bit about what their challenge was. So I'm not going to tell you any more, but be prepared in November for that presentation from our students. Second, I think I heard it earlier tonight about getting some climate action. Our student roundtable, the students, when they leave, they don't want to leave. So they come back and they continue to work with us. And we call it the United Districts of San Diego because it is National School District current roundtable students, plus Sweetwater former roundtable students that are now in the middle school. And we partnered up with Coronado, as you remember, in the past. So this year, we've been approached by San Diego State University to work on a project with their professors and their students. And they're going to work with their students around the global goals, which our United Districts have been focused on. We'll be doing a project on climate action. And again, I'll bring you along for the ride throughout the year. But they're basically going to work with cross-disciplinary groups or departments to research climate action with the science department, to write poetry and spoken word that they can turn into song lyrics with the English department. They're going to work with the music department to compose original music to go along with their lyrics. And then they're going to work with the art department to create artwork that will live as part of each song and a collective album. And then this album will be produced by the actual students at San Diego State in the music department, and it will live on Spotify and Apple Music. And we're going to have a big, San Diego State is going to host a big reception in May, and we'll be taking our bus and have a big reception like we did last year with our student roundtable. And we hope that all the board members can come, and maybe we'll get you all that information and again bring you along for the ride. But wanted you to know that that's coming. We're super excited. In May, I told you there's some good news. The board heard that we received a grant from the Port of San Diego also to be working on global goals. So we have 2 watershed programs that BCK will be implementing for an entire grade level at each school, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th. So they'll be working with Dr. O'Connor to identify each school's interest, which grade level they're going to want to work with, and they're going to work on dry water runoff and trash amendment, really looking at trash that ends up in our watershed. And so those are 2 projects that are coming along, and those will be for all of our students in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, one of those grade levels at each of our 10 schools. And again, we're seeing a lot of great action through Ocean Connectors. We hope that some of you are able to attend the Ocean Connector celebration tomorrow night. We were thrilled that Olivewood Gardens and Learning Center was able to participate at Olivewood School during the White House visit and to let the USDA know that they were a recipient of a USDA grant, and to really see full circle the impact of their influence from the initiatives that come forth from the White House. So we're just super proud of the work that's happening in National School District. We're looking forward to starting conversations with our teachers about what we can envision in the future for what we can grow enrichment into. And again, we'll be bringing that information back once we have a chance to get their input and to develop a plan back to the board to provide more opportunity. And then I'd like to just end by saying happy birthday to Trustee Lizarga and to Trustee Gates, our September birthdays on the board.
Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you to our new employees, and like I mentioned and Mrs. Donna said, I was super excited and very proud that we had every single new employee here. And I look forward to hopefully that we continue that trend, because it's really nice to be able to introduce and acknowledge our new employees in person. I just also wanted to say thank you to our speakers here tonight, whether it be a parent, teacher, community member. It is very important that we hear and the concerns that it's shared with us, because that's we need that support to be able to service our kids and make the best decision for the betterment of our students. Wanted to say thank you to our students from John Otis and their amazing presentation. You would think that they've been doing this forever, the way they presented, and they didn't even seem nervous. I know Skate asked, "Are you nervous?" And they just sat there like, "What are you talking about?" Like super excited. Yes, and you can tell they're very passionate about what they were presenting. And thank you to Dr. Segura and Ms. Reynoso for their support and providing this presentation for us. I wanted to make a comment about what you said, Ms. Lizarraga, about the Olivewood Gardens, about the traumatizing the students. I've made many field trips, or attended many field trips to Olivewood Gardens, and it's not just the students that they traumatize. It's the parents too, that they force to, that pledge, you have to try at least once.
Chaperones doesn't too.
Yes, so all those know that I'm a little bit picky on my eating, so I did pay attention and I did try everything once. So but it is
You
important.
pledged to try?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did the honor. Wanted to say congratulations, both to our volunteer of the month, Mr. Murat Reyes, and Ms. Duarte for employee of the month. I had an opportunity to sit aside with Ms. Reyes, the wife, at one of the events at Otis, and
Her name is Luz.
so Miss, yeah. Sorry? Yes, at the Peace Run, and you can tell that they are very invested in the school for our students and the safety, because we know that's a very busy street and it's very dangerous. So for them, because they both do it, I very much appreciate it, and it's a big commitment. So thank you to them both, but thank you for recognizing him on their work. But of course, they only were able to pick one. I think she should at least pick her. It's ladies first, right? I'm just kidding. And let's see. Thank you to Mauricio for being here from South Bay Community Services and the valuable information. I look forward to the continued partnership with them and all the resources they're going to bring to our families. And thank you to the White House representatives that were here and Dr. Kevin for making that connection, because without you, I don't think that they would have been here. So thank you. And this was the first elementary school they've ever visited. So it was super exciting that they were in our district, and it's a major honor. So hopefully they'll come out for a couple more visits, like that was mentioned, to our South Bay natives. And I said, well, when you come back home, come visit, let us know, and we'll definitely, make that accommodation. But they were very much interested in our community. So thank you for that. And again, for all the staff that made it happen, ladies and everyone at Olivewood, because it was a very quick turnaround. So
We even gave WOW tickets away. Even they did it.
yes. But you guys are amazing. And, at the end of the visit, they left with a keepsake, a group picture with our picture frame from our district. So again, I thank you guys for all those additional details and the time that it really took. It was super fast turnaround. So thank you for that. And last but not least, happy belated birthday to you two ladies. We will be celebrating after we adjourn back into closed session. So don't run out, but we are going to go back to closed session. So with that, we are now going to adjourn back to closed session. Thank you. Yes.